Hi, so I'm just down at the McLaren Technology Centre today doing a story on 10 years of McLaren Automotive. So I thought it was a good chance to have a look around one of the very early examples of their car, the McLaren 12C, or MP4 12C as it was then. But this isn't just any old MP4 12C, this is the very first car off the line. This is job one, so the first production car. And like I say, it's 10 years now, 10 years since I was shown around this car by Ron Dennis. And yeah, I remember walking through all these heritage cars in here, which are pretty amazing, walking down the boulevard, and then Ron telling me that the car was called the MP4 12C, which I remember at the time thinking that is a very odd name. It's you know, like a line of computer code, and yeah, it was shortened to 12C. And yeah, this car bears a lot of hallmarks of Ron, who you know, was obviously quite obsessive and obsessed with cleanliness, and much of that manifests itself here. So I remember him talking me around these rear lights. He was really proud of these rear lights, that you couldn't really see them, that they were integrated as blades here. Infamously as well, there was this door handle here, so so there is no door handle, it's touch sensitive. So let's just have a look, let's get that closed. Window pops up. So I managed to do it then, and you notice here, under here, there's no door handle, and what you have to do is swipe your hand along. There you go, it works perfectly, Ron, you see, there you go. So his stuff does work. Also, I remember he was really proud of, he said, you know, where is the highest point of the wing? He got me to sit inside the car. Where is the highest point of the wing? What can you see? And he made me move until his hand was at the highest point. And the point was that it was bang in line with the front axle line. And also they'd done this really low scuttle. So if you look inside, the visibility there, it's really low down scuttle. So as you're driving it, it's fantastic. You can see visibility is absolutely great. And also, if you look, this steering wheel as well, remember the key rival for this car was the Ferrari 458 at the time, and it had just migrated all the buttons, the wipers, the indicators, the Manatino dial, all sorts were on the steering wheel, like an F1 kind of setup. And you know, Ron was all about being pure, you know, no volume controls, all about driving, and focused on the driving experience. So so yeah, the Ferrari at the time was aluminium construction. This is clearly carbon fibre, and famously carbon fibres, you can see the tub here, made in 4 hours, and obviously the benefits being lighter, stronger, stiffer, also more expensive to fix, so there was that. And at the time, remember as well, everything was naturally aspirated really back then, and this led the way with forced induction. And a well-placed source told me that, you know, it was Mercedes McLaren tie-up at that time, and they did look at the 6.2 litre engine, but apparently it was 12 millimeters too long for this architecture, so that was rejected. McLaren designed its own and had it made by Ricardo, so a 3.8 litre twin turbo V8 flat plane crank, and originally it made 592 brake horsepower, which was, I think the Ferrari was about 560, and it also had 40 pound-foot more torque as well because of the turbos, and more accessible. So I think that's about 440. The Ferrari's about 400. So so yeah, a big difference. Let's just have what else is there? Anything else that I should point out here? I think that's it. I think it's aged well, by the way. I think we criticised it, or a lot of people criticised it at the time for being bland, this Frank Stephenson design, but it's aged really well. It looks really clean, and yeah, lovely looking car. Let's have a quick jump inside then. So I was on the first group test with this car, and you'll probably remember that things didn't all go McLaren's way, and you know, there were some issues with this car at the time. I remember that it had really trick, and still does, McLaren still uses trick interlink suspension interlinked dampers, hydraulically interlinked, and they failed at Rockingham, which Ron said was down to human error, which was a very Ron comment as well. And just generally the car didn't have the kind of fizz and feel and tactility and excitement of the Ferrari. It was more of a numbers car, and it maybe missed that kind of subjective involvement. I've driven it just now, and you know, we focused on a lot of the things that were wrong with this car at the time, and there were things wrong with it. I thought it was maybe a 90% car with all the building blocks there, but maybe not that last level of calibration and fine-tuning that the engineers do to just integrate everything so well. So things like power delivery, brake feel, which McLaren still struggles with sometimes on the 720S. And also it made me feel a bit sick when I first drove it. I do get a bit car sick if I'm on a high-speed passenger ride around the track, but not normally when I'm driving. I remember this made me feel slightly seasick, and perhaps the chassis wasn't behaving in a way that my mind was kind of expecting. But yeah, just driving it just now, you know, one of the things, a couple of odd targets for this car really. They had, you know, they really focused on lowest CO2 per bhp, so I say 592 brake horsepower, and I think it was 279 grams per kilometre CO2, and that was the lowest of any car per bhp. But does anyone care about that? I don't know, maybe not, maybe more now, maybe it was ahead of its time for that. And also the ride quality, and making it a limo-like ride quality, which again the carbon fibre tub helps towards such a stiff structure. So but yeah, driving it now, the steering really stands out, that ride quality, and it's still a quick car. It's still got that lag and then boost, but it's still a really tactile, delicate car to drive. And yeah, so this story I've been doing is about 10 years of McLaren, and clearly everything really that this laid the foundations for still underpins all McLarens basically. So the carbon fibre tub, clearly it's evolved from this mono cell to a mono cage that comes, you know, this mono cell doesn't go any higher than your kind of shoulder height, but the mono cage goes above for the 720S. But fundamentally it's still a carbon fibre architecture. The 3.8 litre engine has gone to 4 litres, but fundamentally it's the same engine, the same 7-speed sequential gearbox. It's been, you know, recalibrated and all that kind of stuff, but it's the same, still rear wheel drive. And yes, so everything from Senna to Speedtail uses all these same bits. So the next step now is Artura for the next 10 years. So that's the replacement for the Sports Series models, and that will change that V8 to a hybridized V6. And yeah, so it's an all-new era, and sort of sets McLaren up for the next 10 years. And clearly the faults with this car, with the 12C, were addressed, and we had the 650S, which was a big step on, and especially the 675 LT, which was amazing. It was really tactile and a fantastic car to drive. So yeah, so now we've got a new era, and it'll be interesting to see what you know, in the electrification era, what McLaren can do. I'm sure their cars now are world class. So yeah, it'll be exciting to see. And yeah, I hope you've had enjoyed having a look round today. Thanks for all your watches as ever, and for your likes. Please do give me a subscribe. I'll be doing lots more of this, car reviews, some looks around some classic cars when I'm out on shoots on those as well, and on my own Porsche 996. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed it, and catch you next time.